Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Magnet Dale.
And I'm not Jane Aerith Magnet Dale, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers.
Another one.
Oh. It's that podcast for two queer trans women.
Us.
That's us, for the wifey types. We talk about media, what we've done in the week, and do silly bits at each other.
We've done media.
And also smudges here.
And also smudges here for the laps.
Yeah.
And the pets.
You decided against the big sofa all to yourself, you want the two laps.
I want to walk back and forth between two laps.
Sure, and occasionally
nuzzle a microphone.
Exactly. So what you been playing this week, Jay?
Oh, not a lot, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I got an ending of Creepy Redneck Dinosaur Mansion 3.
Yeah.
Which we talked about last week. Good Match 3. It's very
Metroidvania.
Meta. Very meta. Metroidvania, yes.
The narrative ends very interestingly.
Yes. And I think hand-drawn Xavier looks very good.
Agreed. I know where you're at. You're at the... You've seen it end, but it's clear that you could go back in and there would be more.
I did go back in. I spent a long time going back in. That's basically all I've been doing this week. Was clearing up Creepy Redneck Dinosaur Mansion 3. I think there's maybe like 7 traits in the entire game I haven't found now.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've got most of it. I want to say over 100 traits.
That's about where I got to, where I was like, I feel okay with not finding those last couple of things. I feel like I've seen everything here.
I found Ascended Wally, and I feel like, what can you do after Ascended Wally, really?
But yeah, that game. A very funny, very creative Match 3 exploration game that feels very timely in its narrative.
Yes. Very, very meta in the working in the video games industry now. And there's a company called Supremacy in it, which
there sure is.
Made me go,
there sure is a game publisher called Supremacy, and I did have a back and forth on Blue Sky with Xavier, being like, great minds think alike.
Excellent. But yeah, what have you played? What have you actually played, as opposed to me tidying games?
It's mostly been a week of me finishing and continuing with things. Because we're getting into AA showcase prep season,
so can't really get into anything too big.
Yeah, so I finished 1000 X Resist, which I've been talking about for the last 2 weeks. This is this sort of largely third-person 3D visual novel-y game, voice acted, that touches on a lot of really interesting themes in a very well-acted way. Having finished it now, I think that game, it lands its narrative incredibly well. Mm-hmm. It is one of the best written and acted video games I have ever experienced. Excellent. It is a truly unique experience. Mm-hmm. I think it is superb, it is fantastic, it is highly recommendable. If you're motion sickness prone, don't play it on Switch.
No.
The Switch version. The Switch version is totally serviceable when you are walking around in hallways, when you are doing these sort of flashbacks to different time periods. The one place it's not really acceptable performance-wise is there is a central area that's like multiple floors, and there's a garden in the middle, and the performance is just way too inconsistent. That if you are someone prone to motion sickness, it's going to be a problem. During the majority of the game, playing it through on Switch, what I ended up doing was just running straight to the plot whenever I was in the big central area, which is a shame, because there's a bunch of really interesting conversations to go have with characters that are optional, that I was skipping over, not because I wasn't interested in them, but because I needed to minimise the amount of time I was in the motion sickness exposing area.
I don't want this to make me sick forever.
Yeah, and the ending spends a while in that last area, and you can't really minimise the amount of time in that area.
Oh, was this the one you stayed up late because everyone on stream told you that?
It's like, there's only one more conversation left. Oh, I forgot about this one. Okay, well, you're nearly there. Yeah, and I was feeling the motion sickness coming on.
And you were still the next day.
And I was feeling really quite unwell through that weekend, and was like, I feel like this is lingering effects if I push myself too much on a game that was making me ill. Mm-hmm. Which, I recognise that in myself. But I have since looked up footage of the PC version, and yeah, if you're playing this on a decently powerful PC, that area is not a problem and probably wouldn't cause the motion sickness issues that the game did for me to the degree it did for me.
Yeah.
I would hesitate, like, as someone that owns a Steam Deck, I might see what Steam Deck footage is like and whether that's a recommendable experience. The Switch, a perfectly recommendable experience if you are not a motion sickness prone person. If you know that's an issue for you and you have alternative platforms you can play it on, avoid the Switch version. This all said, absolutely the best game from last year that I didn't play. One of those, I totally understand why everyone was telling me I had to play it. The demand avoidance wasn't going to let me, but, I got around to it when I got to it.
In your own damn good time.
The other one I've been playing is I've been powering through Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which I think I talked a little bit about this last week.
I think so.
This is the game where it's a turn-based RPG. For the last 67 years, a giant lady's been appearing and drawing a number on a mountain that's been getting lower and lower. When that number's written, anyone above that age instantly turns into rose petals and dies. And
worst way to go,
the expedition of people in their early 30s being the latest group to go and try and stop this happening. Narratively, this game is fucking great. It is really well acted and performed. There is something incredibly natural, and there's something about the way that the writing is written and performed that does not feel like dialogue often feels. It does not have that sort of deliberate, precise, this is a written line feeling to it. It feels like people having a natural conversation.
Right.
And I am consistently impressed at how well that energy is kept. I've been trying to pick out what it is that makes it feel that way. Sometimes characters will slightly talk over each other. Like, there's not always a firm, clean, this line finished, a pause, and then this line started. There's those little things that make a conversation feel like it is in real time, rather than it is, we recorded separate lines and played them one after another.
Yeah.
That really helps. That story pulls no punches. Multiple times, even in the opening hours, it does things that I would not have expected it to be a confident enough narrative to do. I've been having a lot of fun with it mechanically.
I feel like there's a butt going.
No.
Oh, okay.
This game is a game that has multiple characters available for you to play as, and generally you're going to be playing as a team of 3 party members with 3 in reserve. And all of them have such interesting, unique combat systems that synergize really well with each other, and it's really fun to make your sets of 3 characters that all work in very synergized ways with each other. I have instead been playing this as there is only one character. She is the character. And I've been having a great time doing that.
I'm glad that it lets you do what you want to do then.
Yeah, there is a moment narratively that sets up quite well the idea that maybe I'm just going to play as this one angry 16-year-old who is like, the rest of you can keep up with me as best you can. I'm going to be the main character. And
well, that seems healthy.
So the way that a lot of each character has their own level up tree of abilities they earn and their own weapons, but there is also these abilities you pick up around the world that you can have them equipped to a character. And after you've beaten 4 fights with them equipped to a character, they become available even when you don't have them equipped. You've got 3 slots to equip them in, but you also have points that you can spend to be of all the ones that we've equipped and used a few times so that they're in the pool, anyone can use any of those abilities if they have enough points to spend.
Okay.
Meaning that even though there's only 3 slots to equip these things, if you've unlocked them all and you have enough points, you can put a bunch of things on one character.
Yeah.
And a lot of times during leveling up, you're how do you want to distribute who gets these points that let them have extra abilities?
And you were what if I just gave them all to that?
What if I gave them all to this one character so she can have 35 abilities equipped to her? And a bunch of the abilities are things that are if this is the only party member in the fight, get these bonuses. So I've just been stacking her with every one of those possible. A weapon that starts her in a stance where she does triple damage, and spamming an attack that keeps her in the stance where she does triple damage.
Right.
And I'm just having her melt enemies, and it's been very fun, like, powering up her defense so that she can just, like, tank hits if she needs to, trying to get really good at the parry mechanic, and then just, like, gods will be throwing meteors at me, and I'm just like, parry, 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 counterattack, murder you with my sword, parry, parry, parry. This game's very good.
I've turned it into Bayonetta.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've just finished the second act, and I've reached Act 3. The game has revealed to me now what the plot is. The plot has done revealed itself.
Right.
From what I can tell, this last act could be very short. Here's the actual place where the game's going to end. Go wrap up anything you want to wrap up that you skipped earlier in the game, and then go do the ending.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm quite near the end of it from what I can tell. It's a very good game. I'm very enthralled with it. It's nice that this early in the year there is a game that I feel as confident as I do is going to be a Game of the Year contender for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, what about you? You playing anything else this week?
Yeah, I started playing a game called Crypt Custodian.
Yeah, tell us about this one with the little kitty cat.
Yeah, so this is one I heard Dodger playing a while ago. I was like, that sounds fun. I enjoy Metroidvania. So this is a isometric Metroidvania where you are a cat who has come to the end of their lives, and they are brought before judgment, and Kayla, the guardian of the afterlife, is like, okay, well, let's see. You can either go through that door, where all the bad people are. That's outside the palace. That's not good. You don't want to go there. That's terrible and bad. Or, welcome, you can come to the palace, which is perfect and wonderful and good. Now, in order to get there, you first have to, like, appear on the shores of the afterlife, and then be led to this place, and this person's like, hey, well, you're gonna need a broom. You'll probably need a broom, and you're probably gonna need to clear away some of these statues and things in order to get to where we're going and to meet Kayla. And you're sort of being tutorialized a little bit, and it's like, okay, cool, yeah, I hit the things, I get the stuff out of them, and I jump over stuff, and I learn double jumps and timing, or learn jumping and timing and dashing and things like that. Cool, okay, cool. And then you get to the thing, and basically it's like, okay, well, let's see, you were abandoned as a kitten, and then you were adopted by this lovely family. Well, I think we should just get ready to open the door to the palace and your personal paradise, and we should all be ready to do that. And then, what's this last page? Oh, you turned up in the afterlife and broke all my statues. Nope, you're going to the bad place. You are condemned with your broom to clean up forever. Quite quickly, you learn that a lot of the people in the not outside the palace are like, yeah, it's kind of a terrible system, and we are planning, like, some of us are planning to try and break into the palace, and, yeah, also, for some reason, some cat ghosts are trapped in pots. Find them. I am enjoying it so far. I wouldn't say necessarily has felt very Metroidvania yet. Like, I've unraveled, like, a huge amount of map. But, like, the only additional skill, really, that I've picked up so far is turning my dodge roll into a sort of a blink, which is, like, reloads a little bit faster. But, like, there haven't been, like, oh, this place is locked off, apart from, yeah, you did, like, a whole area, and then at the end of it, you hit a button to make a lift work, and now you can get back to the start and find another area to go and explore. And ultimately, it seems I am trying to find about 10 afterlife cats to make friends with. And then we're perhaps all going to go and work together to try and invade the palace. And start a coup against the person running the afterlife. Or in charge of the afterlife. But, yeah, it's pretty. It's got nice, it feels very responsive, even for me, who is generally terrible at games like Hollow Knight. It's got good difficulty scaling, and the ability to change difficulty during the game, and it doesn't turn off your ability to get achievements, which is nice. That I've noticed, anyway. Yeah, having a nice time with it. The animation is beautiful, and I'm curious where plot do. But yeah, it's a good game, but I felt real tricked. I was like, is it worth trying to see if I can play through the tutorial and get one of those, like, was it Far Cry 4?
Oh, yeah,
Just don't cause the chaos at the beginning, and you'll be fine to just end the game by an alternate method. But yeah, that's Crypt Custodian. Having a good time. I will report back more once I have played more.
Yeah.
Have you played anything else?
We continued with our local gaming group playing some more Clank Legacy Season 2.
Season 2.
And the main thing I think I can say about that, we've talked about this before, it is that part deck builder, part explorer map game about, like, go, grab treasure, run back. The games of that really are a multi-hour affair for a single game.
Yeah, like, our first game of this season was 3 hours and 8 minutes, and our game the other day was just over 4 hours.
Yeah, there are some things I like about Season 2. Like, I like that Season 2 has dedicated characters you play as that have, like, whole books worth of their own unique plot.
Mm.
And I like that on a mission-by-mission basis, we're getting dealt out, like, these are group missions to do, but these are personal missions to do.
Yeah.
And having personal missions that, like, we'll unlock cards that are do with multiple characters if like, your mission and your mission kind of intersected, and who gets to that mission first will slightly change some things. And
it seems like there is stuff in place for rebalancing depending on how well you do, or if there isn't a full set of 4 players.
Yep. I'm enjoying some of the new mechanics around putting player colour stickers on cards.
Yes,
and
marking.
Yeah, marking cards, and how that leads to sort of politics around rewards. Yeah, you said this when we were playing it at the weekend, but once again, playing Clank Legacy feels less like playing a game of Clank and more like using a game of Clank to play a D&D session.
Yeah.
An undm'd D&D session.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm not opposed to that.
No, but I think, like, that was definitely something I struggled with in like, the original one of these. And, I was so trying to get myself in the headspace of remembering how to play a good game of Clank.
Yes.
And, like, thinking about what my distribution of, like, movement and attack and buying power is throughout my deck.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like, this is not... I've just sort of gone, look, I'll do my best.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go out of my way to like, feel like I've got to, got to achieve something very specific.
Yeah. You
like,
follow your story beats and you see where it takes you.
Yeah. Like, that doesn't stop, like, the likes of you, expert deck building player, who has won both of our games so far. Because despite it is semi-cooperative, like, you are trying to get the highest score, but also you are working towards common goals.
Yeah, like, it is a bit competitive, but also when one of our party members was still in the danger zone and, like, there was a limited number of turns before they were going to lose all their points for the game,
yes.
I deliberately didn't buy anything off of the shopping row, even though I could have done and would have got additional points, because if I didn't buy anything off the shop row, that meant my turn was guaranteed not to trigger a dragon attack, and that's one fewer turn they had to survive. And it's like, yeah, I could get more points for me, but clearly, like, we are cooperating. This is about how good can the team do.
Yeah. But I mean, again, that was something that didn't really happen until, like, right near the end. We can all get fairly cutthroat for most of the game.
Oh, yeah.
I want to achieve the thing. I want to achieve the thing. In many ways, I've been quite glad that, generally speaking, it is entirely possible to go, I'm just going to play my best and not get involved in the cutthroat nature of it.
Yeah.
Because the fact that some people are very specifically going, I want to try and complete as many story missions as possible. Those people aren't necessarily scoring the highest.
Yeah. It feels cool to have plot things happen, but that's not necessarily directly correlated with you did the things that are worth points.
Indeed. And I think a lot of my willingness to just go along with whatever and enjoy the plot is because knowing that at the end of the game, once you've finished playing through it as a campaign game, you will have a unique version of Clank that is entirely your own, and you can
get competitive about it then.
Exactly, because you can play it as a regular game of Clank. It's not going to have any of the plot stuff, but it is just going to be an entirely unique, or a relatively unique game of Clank with a whole bunch of extra features to it.
And again, I appreciate that by having player-specific character missions, it seems like both of the first 2 sessions of it we've done gave every player at least one plot quest that was just theirs. And it's you're the only one that can do this, and when you do it, you'll get plot specific to you. So, you'll definitely get something for your character, narrative-wise, every time you sit down to play a game.
Yes.
There's no world in which every bit of story gets stolen away from you.
This is true.
Yeah, I think that's everything I've played that I can talk about this week.
Well then.
Time for this.
Are you struggling with hopelessness?
Yes.
Is the current state of the world just too much to bear? Do you think maybe the people who are causing all this peril should really be the ones experiencing all of the bad feels? Then try nihilism. It redirects your sense of hopelessness to those who actually deserve it.
Ooh, I feel mildly positive about that.
They don't. Nihilism! Try today to make them pay! Hello?
Yes?
We've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, do you food?
I eat food.
Do you need nourishment for your body?
My body does require fuel to continue occurring.
And do you find that food so much variety?
There's a lot to think about when it comes to food. Lots of it happening all the time.
It can, it can be crunchy.
Ooh.
Chewy.
Ooh.
Juicy.
Ooh.
Stodgy.
Ooh. So many ways it
fluffy,
could be.
Fluffy.
I mean, some of these are good sometimes, but I need to know...
Slippery?
Probably not that one.
Slimy?
I need to know what one they're going to be. Some of those are bad, and some of them I just got to know are coming.
How do you feel about a good crunch?
I mean, crunch is generally pretty good.
I mean, it's there, right in the title. It's a good crunch.
It usually tells me, this food is okay. Eat crunch.
This week's sponsor is autismpellets.lol.net.
Oh wow, what a product, tell me more.
If you are an autistic person and prefer your food predictable...
That's me.
Do you wish your meals could be all a simple crunchy texture?
Oh, it's just like having dry handfuls of cereal.
Right.
Yeah.
Crunchy, dry handfuls of nutrition.
Ooh.
It doesn't say anything about the flavour. Try Autism Pellets. Eat it by the handful like dry cereal. It's got all your nutritional needs in the equivalent of pet kibble.
It's crunch and it do food.
It doesn't say what it tastes like. It has to be a good flavour.
I mean, look, most flavours I can find acceptable as long as the texture's alright.
I have needs.
Cinnamon cereal flavour.
Well, now we're sold. As long as it's that.
Cinnamon pellets.
Cinnamon pellets.
Cinnamon pellets.
I would eat those.
I would subsume myself on cinnamon pellet.
So, Laura.
Yes?
What have you put in your eyes?
We both watched one of them Marvel films.
Yes.
We watched Thunderbolts.
We did. Thunderbolts asterisk.
Thunderbolts asterisk, which apparently already marketing posters in, town centres are revealing what that asterisk means.
What a weird choice.
Right? That feels like a thing you would keep quiet for longer.
I mean, I guess they kept it quiet up until the launch of the film.
I guess. I really liked Thunderbolts.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying, like, this feels like a real return to form for Marvel movies.
I agree. It's been one of the funniest Marvel films in a while.
Yeah.
One of the, like, most heartfelt.
Yeah.
One of the best at being an ensemble film that doesn't feel cluttered.
Yeah.
Or too weighed down by other films being important to it.
Because we went and saw this separately, and I was like, I don't remember. Like, I remember that David Harbour has a character, and I think he's Russian. A Russian Captain America. I could not tell you anything about the other than one of them's called Taskmaster, and I can't remember what show or film that was from.
I was like, I remember one of them is Black Widow's sister. I remember that. One is Russian Captain America. One is knockoff Captain America from Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah. The weakest of them all.
I remember there was one that teleported and I couldn't remember where they came from. Apparently it was Ant-Man. And I was like, Taskmaster, couldn't tell you who Taskmaster was. But I told you when I'd seen it and you hadn't yet, I was like, the fact you don't remember who these people are does not matter.
Doesn't matter. And also, I agree, it doesn't matter. And furthermore, they aren't going to spend 45 minutes of the film recapping any of that.
Yeah, like, for each of them, you get, like, one very short scene that isn't even, like, you know, I think a good example is the knockoff Captain America. The scene you get is not a retelling of, oh, this is how he was Captain America for a minute and then he wasn't. It's, what is the thing that has happened that is emotionally driving him? And it is a scene that is, like, not to do with that last TV show he was in. It is, like, in this immediate moment, what is driving him to feel like he should be a better person, or whatever it is that's driving him right now.
I did watch a recap of, like, how this fits into other, like, Marvel stuff recently. Yeah. Apparently, he was in the previous film that we didn't go and watch because of the boycott.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, again, they felt, I mean, I don't feel like I missed anything by not having seen that.
I didn't know that, but I didn't feel like I was missing anything.
Yeah, I was like, oh, did they? Okay.
I think the fight scenes in this were largely, like, very well choreographed for, like, being very watchable, manageable scope fight scenes.
I think it helped that it was... how to talk about this without spoilers? Like, it wasn't like, here's 100 random goons and... are 5 heroes.
They joke about the fact that, like, their powers are largely, we are some people with guns.
Yeah.
And, like, I think...
Guns and shields.
That restrained scope on what they could do led to some good choreography for fight scenes. Like, that one right at the start, the hallway fight, into that sort of lab at the start, very good hallway fight scene.
Yeah.
One of my favourite Marvel villains in a long time.
Yes.
Without saying too much, very well-defined and very understandable, like, motivation and character arc. Genuinely fucking terrifying power set and how it was presented.
Yeah, like, once you get to grips with what it means, it's like, oh, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
And also, like, the director, I think, was saying, like, one of the visual choices came from, like, a specific moment in history. And it's like, oh, I can fully see that.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, that's what I was thinking when I saw it. So I saw that. And, but there was a moment where we'd sort of been, like, kind of explained sort of what was happening, or at least what the villain was. And there was a moment where in my head I was like, is the villain for this film the concept of the male loneliness epidemic?
I mean, kind of. I thought that this film's explorations of, like, depression were fantastic in terms of not being, like, overly melodramatic or overly played for laughs. It was just a very serious, like, an examination of the sometimes mundane nature of ongoing depression.
Yeah, and also, like, when you get depressed people together... Yeah. And they're just sort of like, they'll be quite flippant and jokey about How are you doing? Oh, hanging by a thread.
I can tell this joke about my childhood that around any other group of people they'd go, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." I'm like, no, it's meant to be funny. It's a funny childhood
story.
Don't tell me it's depressing. It's like, no, they'll laugh along with it. They get it.
Yeah. Well, come on, we've all been there where you tell a room full of people a fun story about your childhood and they all just look at you with pity in their eyes. And you go, oh, fuck, I did it again.
So, I was thinking a thought during watching this film, and it's taken me the better part of a week to, crystallize it. But I think the thought is, this film is really interesting when you compare it to the multiple attempts that have happened in recent years to make a Suicide Squad film over in DC, in that every time they try and make a Suicide Squad game or film, they fall into the trap of when you decide you're going to do a D&D campaign of all villains, but you haven't done a session zero to justify why these bad people would want to work together. Suicide Squad is always, we picked the worst people and we had to put bomb collars around their necks so that they're all going to work on the same thing, even though none of them really wants to work with each other or build any bonds.
Yeah.
This, the Thunderbolts feels like you got that group of people that's like, cool, we want to do a villain or an anti-hero campaign, and the DM took that step of going, cool, we are not doing this until you can come up with backstory, or narrative things to go, these people might not like each other, but they understand each other and vibe with each other enough that they will stick on having a shared goal, and that they will, as much as they might be standoffish at first, they will build connections with each other, and they will be a bit of a found family eventually. And they're both ways you can do a story of people who are kind of bad people on a shared adventure. One of them's way more rewarding to me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense?
No, I agree. They're misunderstood, or they've been villains, or they've been the kind of people who works for someone terrible, and they have done terrible things as a result of that, but through one reason or another now don't really have that oversight anymore.
Yeah.
And obviously there is still a family connection, partly there between two of those main characters. I had a really good time with it. I thought the villain was spectacular. As a concept. I would be curious how the wider mental health community feels about some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's stuff that are is it trying to be this? They do that thing of somebody has mental health problems, but we're not gonna give it a name.
Yeah.
Because then people would say one way or another that we were representing poorly or something, but clearly they had something in mind.
Yeah.
Again, I can't talk specifics because people might not have seen it yet, but there were thoughts about what they were maybe trying to do a bit.
Yeah.
But I think the concept of that villain was really interesting, and I look forward to more Asterisk.
Yes. I thought this was very fun, and I wish we had more superhero films in Marvel that felt like this, in terms of they got to have that big grand ensemble scope of something like an Avengers without having to be the culmination of 15 films to get to there. It's these characters were all established elsewhere, but this really kind of works as a standalone film.
Come on, give us West Coast Avengers so we can have Squirrel Girl.
I mean, seeing this do well does give me the thought that, they're getting less afraid to have multiple ensemble teams coexist for different scales of threat.
Yeah.
Because, I think that's ultimately, kind of what the MCU needs to get to not lose track of, is maybe you have your team that does the big intergalactic level threats, but you also need your, like...
friendly neighborhoods.
Yeah, your friendly neighborhood heroes, and your friendly neighborhood ensemble teams.
Yeah.
And this seems like a great step in that direction.
Yeah.
What about you? Did you put anything else in your eyes this week?
Nope. I mean, we watched the new Doctor Who.
We did. I continue to think that it would be great to see a unit spin-off show. I'd be very, very up for that.
I mean, Big Finish has a unit series.
Yeah. And I've been very impressed in the recent rebooted series how much I have enjoyed the episodes that don't have the Doctor in them.
Yeah.
Shooting Hardware is amazing.
He is.
They have done some great, completely or almost completely Doctorless episodes.
Yeah.
And when the Doctor is that charismatic, you gotta do a good episode for me to not be upset that the good actor is missing.
Yeah, indeed. I think Shooty's great. And I hope he remains the Doctor forever. I know he's leaving.
I know, but I agree. I could very happily have 10 years of him as the Doctor and I'd be very okay with it.
He's just the Doctor now, forever.
Yeah.
But, I'm very much enjoying this series. I think, it's doing really well. It's doing some interesting things. I never thought that the most unsettling villain was gonna be a mix between Joe Rogan and Nigel Farage.
Entitled white man streamer really is the scariest thing possible, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's certainly relevant to our time. There's and the concept of fake news and contrarian for clicks.
Since Shooting Outward has joined Doctor Who, there's been multiple episodes where Shooty has given speeches where I'm like, you could take a transcript of this and read it at an anti-fascist protest, and I don't think anyone would bat an eyelid. There's definitely been some stuff where I'm like, you could read that at a protest and people would be like, yeah, that sounds appropriate.
Yeah.
There's been some good monologues to camera.
Oh yes, genuinely curious where this season is headed, and I guess we will find out. But good stuff. Well done. Have you watched anything else?
Oh really? It's been a bit of a limbo period of time. Actually, I did start watching something today. While I was working. I started watching a My Hero Academia spin-off anime that has started called Vigilantes. So this takes place during the run of My Hero Academia, but before the big bad of the season comes to power and everything goes to shit.
Right.
This is when largely there was still street level villains going on and street level heroes doing their thing. And this is a show specifically following a trio of people who, for various reasons, are not licensed heroes who went to hero school and got their licenses to be allowed to do hero work, but that, that one of them's working a supermarket job and going to college and, whatever. These three people just living in a tiny apartment together. It's a one-person apartment that they put curtains up to subdivide so they can just about afford to share a place together. And at night they go out fighting crime.
Yay!
And it's fun watching a superhero story in this world, in this very well-established world, where the characters either don't have powers or have powers that don't have immediately useful utility to them, or immediately obvious utility. Our trio most notably includes just a big burly man with knuckle dusters on, who dresses kind of like Batman.
Okay.
And will punch real hard.
Right.
People colloquially refer to him as Crazy Punch Granddad. And a kid who his superpower is he can move around at about the speed of a bicycle by gliding around, but only if 3 points of contact are being made. So, he has to be, both feet and one hand on the floor. And he can sort of glide around about the speed of someone on a bicycle. And he's already working out there's, a little more utility to that power. He can go up walls. If two of his feet and a hand are touching Or, he could have more than 3 points. So, like, hands and feet are on a wall, he can go up a wall, he's worked out. Or he could be he could be on a ceiling. As long as he's making the 4 points of contact, so it's like, oh, that's a little bit Spider-Man climby. He can sort of slide around at bicycle speed on the ceiling. So he's, like, working out ways to use his powers, but his powers aren't inherently to punch the big bad villain, save the day.
No.
But, like, maybe there's a flood happening. He can put someone on his back and skate away at about bicycle speed from the problem. And it's just been fun watching this, like, low stakes, slightly more focused on the silly than the dramatic, world of people just trying to do good things and help people, while not really being officially sanctioned to do so.
Right.
It's been a fun little show so far.
Yeah.
I've watched, like, I think there's, like, 4 episodes so far.
Okay.
And it's definitely not trying to be as huge stakes as the main My Hero Academia.
Only small filet mignon.
Yeah, but it's nice to explore more stories in the setting. But yeah, that's about it for me this week.
Well then.
Time for this.
Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi. So, you remember a couple of months back we got sued for deceptive practices?
Yeah, we paid the fine and we keep doing it.
Well, yeah, exactly. We were like, look, we performatively seem like we've changed.
Yeah.
We're just gonna continue doing it.
Yeah.
Well, you know how we hoped that by ignoring it would just go away?
Yeah, I mean, we gave it enough time and the public should have forgotten about it because we know from research that they won't remember this stuff.
Well, that's what we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't go away.
But research.
We're now being sued for ignoring the lawsuit.
God damn it. It's never any good news anymore.
Right. Where were the days where we could just, do a bunch of crime clearly out in the open and people didn't give a shit?
Yeah.
Those were the good old days.
Yeah.
Like, I know it didn't work last time, ignoring the lawsuit and hoping it would go away.
Yeah.
But I got a better feeling this time. What if we just ignore this one and hope this one goes away?
You are a fucking genius.
I know. I'm sure legal would agree.
I'm very cross, and I think shouting about it is going to get me what I want.
I'm sorry, what seems to be the problem?
Well, I'm very unhappy with this product. This book that I've purchased is not the one I wanted, and I was assured that this would be the one I intended. What I said was I wanted the one with the blue cover.
And does this have a blue cover?
It does have a blue cover, but this is not the one I wanted. You've let me down again, and I think this is a disgrace, and I think you should be fired for your part in giving me the thing, and I think that I'm going to state quite clearly that I know my rights and what should be done, because I've watched Martin Lewis on the television, and I am going to make some unfounded judgments, things I misunderstood about how things are supposed to work.
Do you have a receipt, and are you within the return period? With an undamaged book?
Well, yes, but I want to be entirely unreasonable about the whole thing. I want you to be fired, I want your boss to be fired, I want to be paid £1,000 in compensation for the distress and inconvenience that I have been put through.
How about this? I exchange the book for the one you wanted, and you stop complaining, or you leave before I call security.
I've never been treated this way in my life. I'm going to complain even louder.
Okay, I'll go get my earplugs.
Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Brochure Justice Warriors.
Brochure Justice Warriors?
Yeah.
Right, Larry.
Right, Barry. How you doing?
Oh, not bad, mate. Not bad. You doing okay?
Oh, I've been tired out by politics,
Well, yeah.
As we all are at the moment, I think.
Yeah, I've sort of gone through utter despair into a sort of bleak acceptance and, urge to fight back as much as a single person can do.
Yeah, well, I've been through the phases, the bleakness, the numbness. I'm coming through to the
trying to think productively about, like, you know, what big picture thoughts can I have that might, you know, it might go somewhere. And, you know, this is not necessarily a new thought, but it's one that's been rattling around my head this week. Is you know, it's easy to say, and we've been saying for a while, like, we need left-wing politicians that are actually left-wing, and that are not just moving themselves to the right to... Because, you know, left-wing parties trying to move themselves to the right aren't going to win votes that way. All they will do is... People on the right will vote for the right-wing party still. Yeah. And, you know, we lose a left. But what I've been thinking more is... I want to go further. Not only do we need a left-wing party that is properly left-wing and actually fighting for left-wing values, we need a left-wing party that is so left-wing that they are doing what the right has been doing for a while, which is pushing the Overton window, pushing the window of what is considered politically neutral back to the left. Yeah. We need a left-wing party that is willing to go on the aggressive with, you know, things that people can agree are good, like, you know, hey, people shouldn't be starving or whatnot. Yeah. And really, really leaning into the messaging of, that's just common sense. Why are people fighting against this common sense thing that people shouldn't die from not having food? Yeah. And, like, food and healthcare and, you know, shorter waiting lists and more jobs and apprenticeships and things and more house building and 300% tax on billionaires. Not ceding the ground to these things to the right and going, wait, it's like when during the last American political cycle, we had that brief, beautiful moment where left-wing politicians were just not afraid to use the word weird about the right. They were like, it's fucking weird, right? That you want, you know, the elderly to freeze to death this winter. Well, that's weird, isn't it? That's very weird that's your stance. And I think there is part of what we need in left-wing politics right now is a willingness to just go, what the right are doing? It's fucking weird. Like, surely we can all agree, decent people, that, like, you know, people shouldn't be freezing to death in their homes. Yeah. You know, that's like, oh, that's horrible when that happens. Yeah. It's not, you know, the explicitly left-wing position of we should do something to help those people, but you make it seem like, no, this is not a left-wing position, this is just a common sense position. Yeah. You know, what's a left-wing position? That we just push even further left. Yeah. You know, we push so far left that the things that we want on the left seem closer to the centre, because we're pushing even further left. Push that Overton window. Push it so far. Like, you know, we'll start arguing for, like, you know, a 8 billion% tax bracket on the billionaires. 8 billion% tax on the billionaires. Okay, we'll pull back to a sensible 75% tax rate on the billionaires. 95. 95, yeah, there we go. We push way further left than anyone will ever agree to, so that when we scale back to what we actually want, that's just sensible middle ground politics. You know? Don't say we're not willing to compromise. We went back from 8 billion%. Yeah, exactly. Because, like, as ridiculous as what I'm saying sounds, it's been the right-wing playbook for a while, is to push way further right than they necessarily want, so that they can, quote-unquote, make middle ground concessions that are way further to the right than what the middle ground used to be. Yeah. We need to push so far left that, quote-unquote, the middle comes back a little to the left. Yeah. Anyone who wants to drill for oil will have to drink gallons of it a day. Okay, only 3 or 4 teaspoons of it a day. Yeah. Okay, fine. Okay, they can just not drill for it, you know. Okay, fine. That's I guess we'll settle for that. Right. Well, you see, like, this is where we need to be going, I think. We need to go so left that we then, you know, we scale back to where we actually want to be, and that seems very normal. Yeah. For every elderly person who dies in the cold because the removal of the winter fuel allowance, we will 8 billionaires. We will burn a billionaire in order to keep the elderly warm. Okay, fine. We'll just burn some of the billionaires' things rather than the billionaire themselves. Yeah, you know. I think compromise. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, don't say we're not willing to compromise. Exactly. Right. Yeah. Well. That's a nice thought. Did you fancy a hug, mate? Oh, yeah. Good hug, mate. Good hug.
Good luck.
Right, I think go and consider in extreme left-wing politics.
I mean, don't you mean normal centrist politics?
Well, I'm going to think about where I want
how far you're going to go left to get the centre over the left.
Yeah, I'll work out what the thing I actually want is later.
You got to think about the extreme first.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
So, you do things,
I do things.
and people would like to find those things. Where do they do that?
People can find the things I do at Laura K. Buzz pretty much everywhere on the internet. Laura K. Buzz on Patreon, that's the one that pays the bills. Blue Sky, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, all the places. The big one coming up, I'm going to start promoting because it's coming up pretty soon. Friday, June 6th at 4 p.m. UK, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, is the 2025 Accessibility Summer Showcase. Tune in for like 45-ish minutes of game trailers showcasing accessibility in cool upcoming games. So you can see a bunch of trailers for cool games coming out in the year ahead and find out if they're going to be playable for you or not, if you have specific needs around that. That's going to be on Twitch and on YouTube at Laura K. Buzz, with versions going up on YouTube that are available with American Sign Language, British Sign Language, or audio descriptions. That's about a month away. Check that out on Friday, June 6th. What about you, Jane? Where are you at on the internet?
Well, I've got a link tree, linktree.ee/Janiac, Janiac. And you can also find me at patreon.com/StoneToMonkeyRadio. For as little as $1 a month, you can help me get all the things done. You can also find music I made over on SoundCloud.
You did music? Yeah, you made new music.
There is a new track. It's called Tea Bath. Check it out if you're thinking about having a nice cup of tea in the bath.
Yeah.
With your rubber ducky.
Some nice found audio percussion type sounds is real neat.
I mean, the secret was I found a sample ages ago of someone filling a bath and someone getting into a bath, and I was like, you know what? I want to make a track about someone having a nice bath.
Yeah. Add on some spoon on the edge of the teacup noises, and you got some music.
and spoons and packets opening and bubbles being blown and coffee grounds being shaken, and the melody is a pitched up coffee grinder. Yeah, it's all found sounds and Foley, and it was just an experiment to see if I could make something without worrying about instruments and things.
You sure did.
I sure did do something. I did that. That's what I did. Yeah. Anyway, that's me, Laura.
Yeah.
Will you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.
Would you go to therapy if your therapist was an alpaca?
I feel like I could admit anything to an alpaca and probably not be judged.
Probably.
I think it would be very hard for an alpaca to display judgment.
Oh, I don't know. I think they can give a good scowl.
Is it them that spit?
Camels spit. I don't know if llamas do as well.
Oh. Well,
I do imagine a llama like chewing tobacco.
Chewing tobacco. They come around here.
How hard would it be to alarm a llama?
Boo! Neither of us know what a panic llama says.
We both know what one sounds like.
Yes, hence we both went for the same panic llama sound.
Yes.